Welcome to the next lecture of mechanics of material. In this lecture we are going to discuss about the composite materials when applied to thermal stresses, which we have stopped in our previous lecture. So yesterday in last lecture we have discussed about thermal stresses, that we have seen the strain is equal to L into alpha into delta T, that is nothing but with respect to temperature there will be some stresses generated which is called as thermal stresses, and there will be some enlargement of material which is obtained because of the change in temperature, that is called as thermal strain. Similarly, when composite materials, that is nothing but when 2 or 3 materials are made together or joined together, then there will be chances of thermal stresses, but basing upon the materials property, that is nothing but alpha, which is nothing but called as linear coefficient of thermal expansion. So basing on that the material will expand more or less. So if value of alpha is more, then it expands more. If value of alpha is less, then it will expand less. So we have already discussed what is composite material when we have applied for what we say the tensile stresses or compressive stresses. So now we are going to discuss with respect to temperature change. So for example, if we are having two materials like steel and brass, so among these the brass is having high values of alpha. So when both together are joined and made a composite material, if you are applying the temperature change, if there is a change in temperature, like if initially it is like at 0 degrees centigrade or at room temperature, suddenly the temperature has been changed to 100 or 250, so then the expansion will be happening like this. The steel will expand to some extent, but whereas brass will expand more. Why this is happening is because of the properties of alpha, that is nothing but coefficient of linear expansion. Whichever is having high values of alpha, that will expand more, which is having less value, that will expand less. Okay, so here when there is expansion, obviously the strain is produced. So when the strain is produced, there will be some amount of stresses developed which tries to overcome this. Okay, now this stresses, how it will be generated is, for example, this is expanding. So when it is trying to expand, there is stress developed inside which tries to avoid the expansion, then it is nothing but called as compressive force. Clear? So here if you see, it is trying to expand here, then obviously there is a strain which is stress generated in this, or compressive force will be generated. Similarly, this is expanding less, means it is going to have a compressive force. So since we want to make the both materials of equal expansion, in this there will be a what we say tensile force will be acting. So when these two forces are acting, both materials will expand like this. The overall expansion will be equal for both the materials. Both the materials will have the equal expansion. So for that we have to consider one condition. That condition is nothing but the compressive force will be equal to tensile force. The compressive force will be always acting on the object which is having high alpha, Similarly, the tensile force will always act on a material which is having less alpha. High alpha will show as an arrow above, and low alpha will show as an arrow downwards. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, so because of this there will be a strain generated in this. This is the compressive force. We should not consider the compressive strain, because the strains you cannot equate. So you have to try to equate with respect to equilibrium should be attained with respect to forces alone. So you should be taking this compressive force is equal to tensile force. So obtain the relationship between both the stresses. You can find this value. Obtain the strain relationship between these two is nothing but, when you know the areas, you can find the relationship between the stress of brass and stress of steel. So this is an example case I have taken. Similarly, we know what is strain. Strain is nothing but, we have already discussed in previous lecture, strain is equal to alpha into T, that is nothing but the coefficient of thermal expansion into the change in temperature. So since this is expansion is happening in a brass wire, so we will consider this as positive. But whereas in steel, it has to undergo compression initially, so that is why we are considering it as minus. So the overall total strain is equal to alpha bt minus alpha s into T, that is nothing but which is having high expansion will be taken as positive, which is having less considered as minus. when you subtract both together, you will be going to obtain the overall total strain in the material. So now let us see an example basing on this. So a composite bar, here they are saying the composite bar is made up of connecting a steel member and a copper member. Here they have given two materials, one is steel, another is copper, which are rigidly fixed at their ends. The cross sectional areas of steel members is a mm square for half length, means for half length it is having an area a mm square. After half length it is having an area of 2a mm square. That is nothing but initially it is a, for example it is 1 meter, after half length it is like 2 mm square. Okay, similarly the copper wire is having the overall area as a mm square, where we are going to obtain here is, while for the copper is a mm square. The coefficient of expansion for steel and brass are given as 1 alpha and 1.3 alpha. This is alpha, this is 1.3 alpha. Which is having more? Copper is having more. How much is more? 1.3 times. While the elastic modulus are E and 0.5 E respectively. Determine the stresses induced in both the members when the composite bar is subjected to rise the temperature by T degrees. So if you see this problem, this whole problem is with respect to terms only. There is no usage of any values. So you have to take it as it is and try to solve the problem with respect to value, with respect to the terms only. So let us see what are the things they have given. This is the diagram they have given. Initially steel is having a length, to half length it is having area a mm square. After half length it is having an area of 2 mm square. But whereas copper for whole length it is a mm square. So I have taken an position B at the point where it changes its area from A to 2A. Now I am considering the length of this AB is equal to half, that is nothing but L by 2. But whereas this BC is also L by 2. But whereas this D is nothing but the total length, which is nothing but called as L. Similarly, the area of AB section is A square, area of BC section is 2A square, 2A mm square. But whereas the area of DE is A mm square. Similarly, take down the coefficients of expansion of steel, coefficient of expansion of copper, and modulus of elasticity of steel, modulus of elasticity of copper. Everything has been noted down. Here the brass both the bars are rigidly fixed. Hence the rise of temperature stresses are induced. Obviously when you try to increase the temperature, the stress will be induced in it. So when you see the whichever is having high value, that should have compressive force, which is having low stress, low alpha, that will have tensile force. So which is having low, this steel is having low. So the tensile force in the steel, compressive force in the copper. That is the reason sigma C into AC is equal to sigma S into AC. Now area. So if you see here, area of steel for half length, for initial half length, so the area is same. Okay, so we are taking it in terms of two cases. The first case is where only for half length, that is nothing but for AB length. I am writing here for AB length alone I am considering this problem. For AB length alone, sigma C into A is equal to sigma S into A. That is nothing but sigma C is equal to sigma S. But here as for other half, it is like sigma C into AC is equal to sigma S into AS, where AS is equal to 2A. Now you have got the relationship for other half, that is nothing but for the length BC, for the length BC. So it is like sigma S dash is equal to 0.5 sigma S. Okay, why sigma S? Again in the place of sigma C you can use sigma S from this condition. So it is like sigma S is equal to 0.5 sigma S. So the total elongation which is obtained in the steel is like delta S. For half length you take. Generally for total length, if you want, for total steel you want, then you have to take it into two sections, that is for section AB, then for section BC. This is for section AB, sigma S into L by 2 divided by ES. But whereas for other half, so I am writing here, this is for AB, this is for AB, okay, this is for BC length. The total, when I say total, you should take both the parts. So both the sections should be taken. So both the sections are taken here. So sigma S into half into ES, sigma S dash into L by 2 into ES. Now we know that sigma S dash is equal to 0.5 sigma, that I am substituting here, and here both the ES are same because material is same, ES will be same. So you have to add this, you will get like sigma S by S into L by ES into, here when you take out L common, here it is 0.5 plus, since this 0.5 divided by 2 you will get as 0.25. So the delta L of steel overall is equal to 0.75 sigma L by E. Keep this as it is because we don't know the values of sigma L and E. Next for copper, copper is sigma C LC by EC, whereas sigma this is of uniform length, this is of uniform length, so no need to use any other things, you can directly use that sigma C will be considered as sigma, or here you write it as since we don't want to get confused, consider this as sigma S itself. Okay, so sigma C L divided by 0.5 EC, because they have given in the problem the coefficient of expansion for the Young's modulus for copper is like 0.5 of steel. Okay, so sigma S into L by 0.5 E, that is nothing but 2 sigma S L by E. Now this overall expansion should be same, both the values, the deflection in this and deflection in this should be same. But whereas what is the strain generated with respect to change of temperature, that is here where you have seen that there is some temperature change happening, but whereas if you see this, these are the strain produced because of the internal forces. So what is the strain generated in the material because of the temperature changes, that is sigma S ES is equal to alpha S into T. So where alpha S is nothing but, or alpha S is nothing but the delta LS by L. Another formula for strain, another formula is change in length by original length. Change in length value we have similarly sigma alpha S into T is equal to delta S by LS. Now these two are equal means these two can be equated, correct? These two are equal means these two can be equated. So that is the reason alpha S into T is equal to delta LS by LS. Clear? Next, so what is the delta L value we have seen here? Delta L value we have seen here 0.75 sigma SL by E. So we are going to substitute that value 0.75 sigma L by E whole divided by Ly. So this is the value of sigma S, this is the value of this, we have substituted here, but whereas this value is equal to L. So this L will be get cancelled, this L and this L will be get cancelled. Okay, so if it is cancelled, the equation will become like alpha S into T is equal to 0.7 sigma by E. So this is the relationship which you have got for ES. Similarly for EC is one is like alpha C into T, other is delta L by L. So delta L by L we know that it's like delta L formula we have already obtained in the previous derivation. Like here we can see that, I will try to show you. So here we have got the value 2 sigma L by E, 2 sigma L by E, that is 2 sigma L by E. We are going to substitute this L and this L again get cancelled, so EC will become 2 sigma by E. Now we know that the complete strain EC plus ES is equal to alpha C into T minus alpha S into T. So but whereas EC value is like 2 sigma by E, 0.7 sigma by E. Here alpha C into T minus alpha S into T. So the overall here, if you take out this everything common, that is sigma by E is common, you take out that common, 2 plus 0.75 is 2.75 by E into sigma, that is equal to, here alpha value they have given, alpha of copper is 1.3 alpha, but whereas alpha of steel is like alpha itself. So you substitute that values, you will obtain this relationship. From here you can able to calculate the values of sigma. It is obtained like sigma is equal to 0.19 alpha into T into E. When they give the value of alpha and change in temperature and Young's modulus, you can calculate the value. This is for both copper and for a steel rod which is half section, that is AB section is also the same value, but whereas for the other half section which is having a double area, that will be the value for this is the value for that. Okay, so with this this problem is over. I hope you can understand. Please go through this problem properly. If you have any doubts, we can ask me. The next topic which we are going to discuss in this lecture is superposition of thermal stresses. What is this superposition? Is nothing but if two type of forces are acting, so then how we are going to solve this problem? That is nothing but in general there will be only thermal stresses acting. That is not possible. For example, you take a railway track. So on railway track there will be a thermal stresses also acting, as well as when the train moves over it, there will be expansion because of the load acting on it. So the load is also acting, as well as thermal stresses, thermal variations are also acting. So when these two type of forces are acting on some material, then how to solve this problems is nothing but superposition of problems. In this, what we try to do is we try to take some steps. So very first step is that we have to consider the problem before applying the any temperature changes. Means first you have to solve for only external loads, that is nothing but considering the forces only. When finally first we try to solve the problem using initially what are the forces acting on it, basing on that we try to solve the problem, which you have done before the thermal stresses. How if there is some bar like this, if the force is acting on this, so you can able to find the value of delta L using this. So similarly, without considering the temperature, you have to solve the problem. Second thing is, without considering the forces, only considering the temperature changes, you have to find out the stresses. So finally what you have to do is we have to add them. Okay, clear? First you will not consider the temperature, you solve only for loads. After solving, second case is you won't consider the load, you solve for temperature changes. Third is you add both of them. Okay, so let us take this example. A composite bar made up of aluminum and steel bar is firmly held between two unyielding supports which are not going to deform. So an axial load of 200 kilonewton, here 200 kilonewton is applied at a temperature of 320. So initial temperature is 320 when load is applied. Find the stress in each material when the temperature is changed to 370. So along with this load, there is a change in temperature from 320 Kelvin to 370 Kelvin. K means Kelvin. So take E for aluminum and steel as 70 gigapascal and 210 gigapascal respectively. Take alpha for aluminum as 24 into 10 to the power of minus 6 per degree, 24 into 10 to the power of minus 6 per degree centigrade. So take down the values. E is equal to 17 to 10 to the power of 9, that is nothing but 17 to 10 to the power of 3 Newton per mm square. Similarly for steel, it is 210 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton per mm square. We know this. Okay, so this is the case, this is the diagram for it. So actually they have given the diagram as shown in the figure. So they have given the figure here. Sometimes they will not give the figure, they will give the data like this, till 1000 meters, till 1500 meters there is a load acting like this. So here they have given a 200 kilonewton is acting at a section B, at the section B, correct? So at this section it is acting. So we have already solved this kind of problems where there is no temperature changes. If there is only load acting, then we will split the sections into two parts like this. So AB and BC, we have already solved this type. So now I am considering the load acting on this point is like P1 and here it is like P2. What we have to see, the addition of these two should be equal to this value. If see this is in right side direction, this is in left side direction. Now if I subtract, what should be the value? It should be like 200 kilonewton, that is P1 minus P2 should be equal to 200. P1 minus P2 should be equal to 200, correct? P1 minus P2 is equal to 200. Already we have done this. So then P2 is equal to P1 minus 200 into 10 to the power of 3 newtons. Now elongation of aluminium. We know that if there is a load, for example here this is aluminium, this is steel rod, this is steel rod. So because of this P1 load, what is the elongation generated in this? Now there is only load acting. So we know that when load acts, we know that delta L is equal to PL by AE. That elongation will be like when load is acting, PL by AE. PL, L value is they have used as 1000, they have given into 1000 mm square divided by since load should be in kilos, so we have taken it as in 1000, but where 100 is the length of the material, this 1000 is the area of cross section, and E is Young's modulus, that is 7 into 10 to the power of 3. That's what I have written. Load should be considered in kilonewtons, because here 200 is in kilonewton. Since this load is in kilonewton, all the other loads should be in kilonewtons itself. If you are multiplying here 10 to the power of 3, P1 should also be multiplied by 10 to the power of 3, that is 1000. Okay, so delta L is like P1 by 700. Similarly, delta L2, P2 L2 by A2 E2, that is P1 minus 200, because P2 is nothing but P1 minus 200 into 10 to the power of 3. L2 is given as 150, area of cross section is given as 1500 into 210 into 10 to the power of 3. When you solve this, you are going to get the value like P1 minus 200 divided by 2100. Now, since both the rods are fixed, so very first thing you have to consider is, here both the rods cannot expand. If one expands, other should contract. Why means, if this is expanding, so it will try to push the steel inside like this. If this expands like this, so this will compress obviously. So if you take one load as one value as positive, other value should be considered as negative, correct? Clear? So one is expansion, means other should be compression. So that is the reason here I have written some statements like aluminum will be equal, both the ends are fixed and unyielding, the elongation of aluminum should be equal to elongation of steel, but in opposite direction. Why opposite direction? Because if one expands, other contracts, because the ends have been fixed. If this is expanding, it will try to push the other object and it will try to compress it. So if one expands, other should decrease. If this is expansion, this is opposite. So since both are in opposite direction, we have to consider a negative sign here. So I am substituting value of delta L, PL by 700 minus P1 minus 200 divided by 2100. Now I am multiplying with minus into P1, minus into P1 minus P1, minus into minus plus 200 divided by 2100. Now again cross multiply, or you can directly cancel it, whatever you want to do. Cross multiplication I have done here. So when I do cross multiplication, it is like 3P1 is equal to minus P1 plus 200. 3P1 minus P1 plus 200. This P1 goes this side, so this will become 3P1 plus P1 will become 4P1 is equal to 200. You have got the value of P1. Correct? So with this we can able to get the value of sigma, that is nothing but the stress induced because of load. That is 50 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by area. You are going to get the values of sigma. Similarly, P2 you are going to calculate 50 minus 200. So minus 150 you are going to get. This, why you are getting minus is nothing but, see the type of load you have considered. You have considered the load here as opposite. You have considered the load it as to be opposite, but minus sign indicates that instead of tensile force, it is a compressive force. You have to simply change the direction. That also have written here, stated. The minus sign indicates that the direction is opposite to the assumed direction. So sigma S1 we are going to calculate, which is nothing but 150 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by 1500. You are going to get the compressive stress. Okay. Now case 2. First we have done by using only loads. The second thing is the thermal expansion is happening from 320 degrees to 370 degrees. So there is a change in temperature of 50 degrees centigrade. With respect to this, there will be some expansion. In composite bar, the temperature is right. The material whose with more alpha expands more. The material which is having alpha more will expand more, but whereas the material other which is having less, it will be going compression. So the material which is having alpha more should have a compressive stress. So compressive stress is induced. So we have to equate the forces. Compressive force is equal to tensile force. What is compressive force? That is nothing but sigma 2A2 is equal to sigma S into S. These are standard procedure. You have to follow this procedure. If you miss any of the procedure, you will be failed to get the problem properly. Now sigma A2 is equal to 1.5 into sigma S. That is nothing but in aluminum the stress generated will be more compared to that of the sigma S. Okay, now total strain is nothing but delta L1 plus delta L2, that is L1 alpha 1 into delta T plus L2 alpha 2 into delta T. What is L1? They have given 100, alpha they have given 24 into 10 to the power of minus 6, delta T is given as 50, L2 is 150, alpha is 12 into 10 to the power of minus 6, temperature is 50 degrees. So with that with the substitution of that, we are going to get the value like 0.21 mm. Because of this expansion in both the materials, the stress is developed. Because of this only the stresses is developed. But we know that delta L is equal to sigma 1 L1 by E1, sigma 1 L1 by E1. Now the total strain is equal to sigma 2 L2 by E2. Here in the place of delta L you can substitute these values na. Sigma 2 sigma 1 L1 by the, why here 2 is taken is nothing but this is because of temperature alone, sigma LA EA, sigma LS ES. So this total expansion is like 0.21. You substitute this total expansion value as 0.21 here. So sigma, we have already found the relationship between sigma S and sigma, that is 1.5, that we are going to substitute 1.5 sigma S. Length you know 100, E value is given as 70 into 10 to the power of 3. Similarly sigma S2 into 150 into 210. You take out the sigma S common here, you solve this first. If you solve this, you are going to get 2.14 into 10 to the power of 3 minus 3. Similarly sigma S2, if you solve this, you are going to get 7.14 into 10 to the power of 4. In both sigma S2 is common, take sigma S2 as common and you will get the value as 2.85 into 10 to the power of 3. Now this will go on other side and will become division this. So 0.21 divided by this value, 0.21 divided by this value, you are going to get the value of sigma S2. Once you get the value of sigma S2, you can able to find the value of sigma A2. Now you have got the values of sigma S2 and sigma A2. Now here I have written compressive strength. One I have written compressive, this is obviously tension. Why we have written compressive strength is nothing but since alpha value for steel is less, okay, alpha value for steel is less, okay, so it has to be acting with compressive force or compressive stress is induced in it. But whereas in this the tensile will be acting, okay. So now if you add both the stresses, 100 plus, what is this 100? This is because of pure loading. This is loading stress, this is because of thermal stresses. So you can calculate these two values. Similarly for aluminum, one is positive, that is 50, another is minus. Why minus means this is opposite to this. Sorry, here also it is compressive. Okay, here is also compressive. Okay, so when both one is tension, one is compressive means 50 minus 110.36, you can get the values as 60.33. okay. So with this we have solved this problem also. We can discuss the further lectures or further topic which is nothing but strain energy in our next